Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakerel Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me on this special debate recap episode. Before we get started, make sure you go down to the links below and check out our brand new sponsor, Kubera. You can connect your bank and brokerage accounts all in one place with Kubera. More details in the links below. They're our new sponsor. Give them some love, show them some attention, and give some love and attention to Rumble also. Rumble is just like YouTube, but you don't have the kind of sort of Damocles of getting banned or being censored by your tech overlord. So go and check out Rumble, subscribe, and watch. And let's show some love and affection, some TLC, to our good friend, Angelo Isidorou, who you may remember from previous episodes. It's very objective Angelo. So Angelo, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to secure the future. I'm excited to be objective and unbiased in this discussion. And I'm excited to really dive in deep on who won this debate. Who do you think I'll choose?
Angelo, I'm noticing a lot of, is that the Royal Air Force logo, or what is that you've got a lot of?
No, that's a misnomer. Actually, it's the new Conservative Party logo, Roberto. If anything, I actually believe the Royal Air Force copied it off of us. So in my mind, this has always been the logo, and I'm just excited to secure the future.
Well, thanks a lot for joining me, Angelo. As we all know, all of our viewers know, last night was the great debate. Two French debates for all of the 8 million francophones in Canada, and one English debate for the other 30 million of us Canadians. That started at 9 p.m., started a little late. Obviously, that's around my bedtime. I go to bed pretty early, but I stayed up and I watched. And Angela, did you watch also? I'd assume you did.
Yeah, I watched the debate that I can understand. And that's not because of content. It's because I don't understand the language of the other two. So I did watch the English debate. I have a lot of thoughts on it. You may notice I'm taking off all my propaganda garbs because that was a little skit for the audience,
a little joke for our fans.
But now we're ready to dive in deep. I did watch. I thought it was interesting. I thought the format was weird.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of the format, but I have a lot of thoughts on the winners and losers.
Yeah, I do too, and I agree with you about the format. I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the moderator. She was I think president of the Angus Reid Institute. She didn't do, I thought, too bad a job, but it wasn't particularly a good job. And then they had like guests ask questions. It was all sort of weird. But I think the way that we're going to do this, we're going to go leader by leader, so party by party, and just give our thoughts on how we think they did. And then a little bit about the press conference after. But before we get started, I want to see if you agree with me on one point. Here's what I thought after the debate. I thought if you are already set on voting for someone, you're a fan of one of these candidates, I think you walk away from that debate feeling like your candidate did pretty okay. Or at least pretty okay, up to did well. I didn't feel like anybody crashed and burned too hard, although I do think there was a definite winner and a definite loser, and we're going to get into that, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. It wasn't a disaster for anyone, but strategically, I think the timing of the debate, the content of the debate, the opportunities in talking, the opportunity to have a platform was better for some leaders more than others.
Yeah, I agree. And let's just get into those leaders now. And I guess we should start with the Liberal leader, the Prime Minister of Canada, the man who started this whole mess, this whole election mess. It's Justin Trudeau. Personally, I thought Justin Trudeau, when I said earlier there was a winner and a loser, I would have said Justin Trudeau, for the reasons that you just kind of listed there, did look like kind of the loser of the event. Because at the end of the day, every time we ask Justin Trudeau, why did you call this election, he doesn't really have an answer. We saw that within the first question of the debate when the moderator said, couldn't this have waited a couple months? And he just kind of looked at the camera and said, Canadians have a choice to vote for somebody. And it's like, yeah, we're only voting because of you.
Yeah, I think he was the clear loser, and I know people will think that's biased given what I was just wearing, but I think the consensus about Trudeau is that he was the loser. He looked flustered. He looked out of place. He looked panicked. Apparently, he did well in the French debate. Again, I don't speak the language, so I don't know. But I think it's going to be more difficult to determine who won this debate versus who lost. I think he lost the debate. He was unable to really explain why he called this election and what has he done for the past 6 years. He just wasn't able to perform well.
Yeah, I agree. I did watch the first French debate, parts of the second one. My French is good enough to understand everyone except for Yves Francois Blanchette, who speaks with this kind of real Quebec accent that I still haven't been able to crack. Trudeau did perform better, and I think he's more sincere. I think he puts on more of a tough guy attitude when he speaks in French. I think the Quebecois voters like that. In the English debates, he actually, you know what, he was a little bit snarky. He was a little bitchy a couple times where he kind of tried to counterpunch, but it didn't play well because you can't really speak from an ivory tower when the debate when this whole thing is your responsibility, right? He's done no favors. He has no favors with Canadians right now. We all don't want to think about an election, and it's seeming worse because as of what the polls show right now, it's kind of looking like this whole thing is going to be for nothing. In my mind, it's going to be another Trudeau minority, in which case it's like, so what was all that for? It was just a waste of time and money and attention in the middle of a pandemic, and now grandma's going to die because I had to go to the poll booth or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think minority either way won't be good for him. I think it is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
It was opportunistic, and he just can't sell the reason why. He said that, well, some people say I'm a tyrant and the answer to tyranny is an election. I don't think that's a really compelling argument. And again, his platform is contradictory. He includes banning foreign ownership in his platform, but 3 months ago he voted against it. So it just seems really sloppy to me. And I mean, we can do another episode on final predictions of the election. But I think at this point, there's no way he's going to get a majority. And of course, now if he does, I'll look stupid. But I don't think he will.
Yeah, predictions are tough to make, especially about the future. I would definitely say, I mean, I'm going to make a prediction just because you did. I think I already did. But it's going to be a minority Trudeau, I would guess. And then who knows what's going to happen afterwards in terms of his job as leader. I feel like Canadians, it's pretty clear that over 2/3 of Canadians do not like Justin Trudeau. Pretty firm on that one. I think I'd go to the bank on that. His performance in the debates didn't speak much to me, and I think he got outdone really and looked less prime ministerial than his main opponent, the leader of the opposition that we're going to touch on next, Mr. Aaron O'Toole. I thought Aaron O'Toole, and I know everyone's going to think that we're biased, but I really do think he looked pretty solid last night. I think he, in the first two debates, which I know you didn't watch, Angelo, I thought in the French debates, he did his job. He didn't look stupid. That's all you really wanted him to do, was to make sure he looked confident and like he was competent and able to speak French, which he did. In the last debate, obviously in his preferred language, English, the preferred language of most of Canada, like that matters. He did a great job. I think he didn't seem too flip-floppy, which is something that has been a criticism of him because of the way that the campaign's gone so far with the guns and anything. He looked consistent. He looked intelligent, clear, sincere, I thought, which is a little bit difficult for conservatives to do. Oftentimes they are seen as phony or like they're just trying to achieve power. But I thought he did a good job at getting it across that, no, he's a real guy and he's actually has thorough solutions. What did you think, Angelo? Tell me.
I think he was prime ministerial, and I think that was the goal.
Yeah.
Did he wow me? No. Did he get aggressive and do something that would make for a really juicy clip or an attack ad? No. I think the goal was to be prime ministerial. It's sort of a far cry from what he was like during the leadership, when I think he was accused of sort of coming off angry in the leadership debates, and I think they were trying to avoid that. I think his debate performance wasn't for me and you because we're, on the fringes, I guess. It was for the suburban soccer mom who wants an innocuous face and just a calm, collected prime minister. So in that sense, I think he did a good job. Did it wow me? Is it the aggressive American style of debating that I enjoy? No, but I think he did a good enough job to get a bump in the polls.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is the thing that I've been kind of reading a lot on, just, through columnists or whatever you see on Twitter, just general kind of the mood in the room is that the Trudeau Liberals and Singh and the NDP, who we're going to touch on next, they don't really know what to do with O'Toole because he's very clear that he believes in climate change. He's a friend to the LGBT community. He's very centrist. In fact, more centrist than I would like for a conservative. But he's very clear on vaccines. He's vaccinated. He wants everyone to be vaccinated. Obviously, there was a point there where Justin Trudeau attacked him for that because he's saying, "Oh, Mr. O'Toole wants 90% of Canadians to be vaccinated. He can't even get 90% of his party vaccinated," or, that whole kind of attack. But when you can't paint the Conservatives as this homophobic kind of big oil boogeyman, it seems like everybody kind of just goes into being like, he hates science or whatever. He's bald or something weird, There's nothing they could really do with him. Because, I mean, realistically, he's not too far right of Justin Trudeau, really.
No, I mean, look, let's put it into perspective. He's to the left of Biden.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Conservative Party at this point has pivoted left to such a degree where the Liberals now are scraping the barrel. The first week it was abortion. They threw that on the wall to see if it sticks. O'Toole's pro-choice, doesn't care. They tried the private healthcare thing through a doctored video, which we broke, by the way. We broke that story. Didn't work. They tried the gun thing. The Conservatives are going to shoot all your kids with their assault rifles that work the same as hunting rifles. That didn't really go anywhere because, again, the Conservatives just come out and say, no, we never had that in our policy.
Right.
And then it just kind of moves on. So he's sort of being Teflon to a lot of the traditional attacks towards conservatives, so the Liberals don't really know what to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like you were saying, I think you made a good point. I mean, for the people that he was campaigning to in the leadership debate, the true blue kind of Tory, conservative guy, I think the whole gamble here is that he's already won over our votes. We're going to vote conservative anyway, like that we're his guys. And now, like you were saying, he's going for the suburban voters. The people that put Trudeau in power, really, it's like middle-class women with like 2 kids that earned $80K a year. Those kind of Toronto, Montreal suburban moms. That's the kind of guy, the kind of voter that he's going after. And to be honest, I'm interested to see if it works. I imagine it probably does because he's just put a friendly face on conservatism that I don't think we've ever seen before. Now let's go.
Hold on. I need to stop you.
Okay.
I need to stop. We need to stop. What makes you think I'm voting conservative?
Sorry, I didn't mean to assume there, buddy. I saw all your garb, the Royal Air Force garb. Yeah,
no, that's Royal Air Force garb. That has nothing to do with the conservatives. I never said that.
Yeah, I'm voting for Yves Francois Blanchette, who before we said we were going to touch on last, but I just wanted to let's just talk about him now. I feel like this was really the funniest part of the debate for me. There was so Yves Francois Blanchette, as he put very aptly last night, has no interest in leading Canada. He said so himself in those words. He doesn't give about Canada. He's in the Bloc Québécois. For those of you who didn't watch, you missed out on basically the best comic relief that could ever happen in a political debate. Yves Francois Blanchette does not really speak English. There was instances, like we'll play a clip here, of him not remembering the English word for Governor General. Let's just roll that clip.
Nominated Gouverneur Général, I don't know how to translate that, who speaks Inuktitut, which is great, but does not speak French. Still,
you see, the French word is gouverneur général, not too hard. He did the same thing with pension. He couldn't remember the word for the French English translation for pension. It's pension in both languages. And he also couldn't remember. He mid-answer asked the other leaders what the term was for social housing, which is logement social in French. I don't know, Angelo. What did you think of Yves Francois Blanchette's performance at last night's English debates?
what can I say about Francois Blanchette? I'm on the West. I know you're in Montreal, so you somewhat are involved in this. As a Westerner, it's very fascinating to see someone on the debate stage who's perpetually confused as to why every question is not about Quebec. And he somehow manages to make every question about Quebec. They'll ask about little Afghanistan kids that are trapped in Afghanistan, are trying to get out, and they ask Francois Blanchette what Quebec's going to do about it. And he just looks confused. He's like, I only care about Quebec.
It's true.
And there's something kind of badass about that.
I thought so too.
He has this alpha energy to him because he just doesn't care. And I think he sort of shatters the smoke screen of the entire debate because he's clearly not belonging there. He shouldn't be there. He says Quebec is another nation to Canada. And the whole time, he's just attacking everyone for no reason other than not being from Quebec. It's fascinating as a Westerner to see that regionalism because, imagine if we had that in BC or Alberta where we had someone on the debate stage like that. So, I know we've jumped ahead here. We were saving Blanchette for last, but the short end of it is Blanchette was my favorite because I love chaos.
Yeah.
And he's just chaos and anarchy because he just doesn't care.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I really, I am in Montreal, as you said. And so I'm kind of used to this idea now that there's like a whole nation that I live in that doesn't really care too much for the rest of Canada. But I can understand why it'd be so odd. Their platform really is just completely about Quebec. The whole thing is about wanting to leave Canada. It doesn't even really make sense that he's up there a whole lot. I mean, it's kind of strange to watch a guy go up and say, I know I'm at the federal leaders debate, but I could not give a fuck about being prime minister. I do not care at all. We do not care. And this is what I like about him, and this is what I think the Greens should do. Every question that is not about Quebec, he doesn't have an answer because he doesn't care. The Greens, on the other hand, they get so bogged down with like Israel. Why is the Green Party, the Environment Party, the party that should only care about the environment, having an internal struggle of power because of Israel, like because they don't agree on the Palestine situation? You know what I mean? Like at least the whole Bloc Québécois, they're like a single moving swarm of locusts, whereas like the Green Party, they all believe in the same thing, but they're just scattered around like a bunch of marbles. It's kind of funny to watch, huh?
Well, there's this factionalism, right? I mean, I guess we should get into the Green. Should we just jump over to Anime Paul now?
Let's go to Anime Paul, yeah.
So here's the thing, right? The Green Party has been embroiled in this controversy for the past year because they have a new leader who was elected in opposition to an opponent who was anti-Israel. So we know that there's this war internally in the Green Party of people that are Green activists that are anti-Israel for whatever reason. And Anime Paul, if I'm not mistaken, is Jewish.
Yes.
And is a friend of it. She's a friend to Israel. Mm-hmm. And that was just too outrageous for the party apparatus that it completely fractured her party. They're withholding her funding for her own campaign, so she's not going to win.
Crazy.
And essentially, the party is kind of dying as far as I can tell. But this is what I'll say about Anime Paul. I really thought last night, and based on the Google trends, I think Anime Paul made a profile for herself. I don't know how she did in the French debates, but this was the first time she had the opportunity to be on the debate stage. She brought up a lot of identity politics, which I'm not a fan of, but at the same time, she attacked Trudeau. She was a presence that I think is going to boost her profile a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Greens get a little boost out of this.
I agree, and I'd actually like to put some things up on the screen here. Last night I was doing some of the tweeting for the Post Millennial's Twitter account, and I decided, hey, let's read the room here a little bit. How do you guys think Anime Paul is doing? Obviously, our readership has a bit of a bias. Our base tends to vote on one side of the political spectrum more than the other. But I said, how would you rate Anime Paul's performance so far tonight? And I put good, okay, or poor with a C results thing, so it didn't tilt the scale too much. Most people said she was doing good, Second, okay. And then third, only a small percentage of people said that she was doing poorly. In the follow-up poll I did, who do you think you did best tonight? Obviously, here you can see the bias come through quite a bit of our readership. It said O'Toole far and away 80%. But then second place, Anime Paul, who I thought conducted herself she was very civil. She seemed intelligent. She got her points across very clearly. She didn't interrupt. She made a point of it. She was very classy. She was respectful. She didn't sound like a lunatic, as we've been kind of accustomed to with Elizabeth May and her antics for the last, who knows, 20 years or whatever the hell she's been doing. So, big shout out to Anime Paul. I wish that she would win her seat in Toronto Centre. We kind of just know that's not going to happen. Because she seems like a voice that I'd like to include in the national discussion a little more. But unfortunately, her voter base has just gone elsewhere. Likely to the NDP, who we are going to talk about. What did you think about Mr. Jagmeet Singh's performance on last night's debate stage?
I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems Jagmeet has is that he's a good debater. I know that sounds weird, but the reality is that he is a really good debater. So going into the debate, there's sort of this bar that's set for him that I think is always going to be difficult to surpass now, just because he has historically just been better than everyone else on the stage at the actual art of debating. I think one of the issues he has is his platform isn't costed, so it's kind of BS, if I'm being honest. Like it's promising all these amazing things. It's promising to tax the super wealthy. It's a classic AOC style platform that is utopian and unrealistic and basically impossible. But I think he took a few good jabs, and he threw a few good jabs at Trudeau, and also at Anime Paul, because like you said, there's this factionalism happening now, and I think a lot of it is based on the fact that Anime Paul, who we just talked about, is not a lunatic. So I think a lot of her lunatics are going to Jagmeet.
Yeah.
So I mean, is he going to get a bump from last night? Maybe, but I think the bar was so high for him that I don't see him being the winner or the loser.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of a very middle of the road kind of performance for Singh. You were saying that he's a good debater. It's kind of weird, right? Because Jagmeet Singh, I mean, at least when you watch him in like question period, he's not a classically good orator. He's not a very good speaker. When he tries to project, he stumbles over his words quite a bit. But for whatever reason, on the debate stage, he actually tends to get his point across pretty clearly. I guess because he really sticks to the same things, which is just like you have a third choice. You don't have to vote Liberal or Conservative. You can vote for the NDP. And he's very personable in that way where, he'll like just say something like, "What are you talking about, man?" Or like, that's why he does well on TikTok and with like younger voters, is because he seems like a real person in a way that other leaders don't. I think you hit the nail on the head. Uncosted platform, a lot of big promises, classic NDP likability with no real chance of winning. I mean, I just mentioned that whole third choice thing. Like, hey guys, you have a third choice in this debate. We saw how that ended up in the last debate. The NDP ended up with 24 seats. It's a couple elections before that when they had 100 and were the official opposition, right? So I don't really see where the NDP will go from here. I'd imagine they'll probably win a few seats in this election, but I don't really think this debate is really to thank for any of that. I don't really think he did a bang up job or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think to recap everything we've been talking about, who did I feel entertained by the most during the debate? Blanchette.
Yes.
Who do I think probably got the biggest profile boost? Anime Paul. Who probably won the debate based on their strategy of appealing to actual voters? Erin O'Toole. Who lost the debate? Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh, he showed up. He did what he had to for his base, and he's probably going to hit the ceiling that the NDP is sort of stuck at now, which is 30 seats, maybe a few more.
Yeah, I basically totally agree. I don't think there's anything else to add. So let's wrap up the show here really quickly. Hey, how about I go ahead and mention our sponsors once again. So go ahead and check out Kubera in the links below. You can put your bank and brokerage all in one place. You'll be hearing more about Kubera in the coming weeks. Go to the links below and get more information now. And please, for the love of God, please just go to our Rumble and subscribe. You will find all the content and more on our Rumble page. Angelo, thank you so much for joining me. I understand that you've had a pretty hectic couple of days, but I really appreciate you coming out and chit-chatting with me here.
Yeah, I almost got stabbed on the downtown east side of Vancouver. I was actually with a candidate. So it's been a fun couple of days on the campaign trail. But thank you for having me. And I'll also say this, by the way, just to help the sponsor. You guys need to go to Rumble. It is the alternative to YouTube. It's a successful alternative. It's sleek, it's easy to use, and you're supporting us by doing it. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's fantastic. You can keep doing that, but open a Rumble account because you have that there. Everything we're doing is going to be going there as well. So if anything ever happens with YouTube, you know that our content will always be there, and we're one of the largest channels right now on Rumble. We're blowing up. So be part of that and join us there.
God, you're so much better at that than me. All right, thank you so much for joining us again, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot, Angelo.
Bye.
Bye.